Hi, class. Thought I'd talk to you here today about your introductory paragraph, which I've given you some instruction for already in the assignment, but this is going to be to kind of reiterate some of those things and some more advice about paragraph structure. So, with an introduction, the main thing you need to accomplish is first introducing your text and its author to your audience. It doesn't have to be your very first sentence in the story, in the paragraph, I mean, but it should be right up there near the top. We need to know what text it is you're actually going to be discussing throughout the paper. And so in this first paper, feel free to just in your first sentence say, uh, Raymond Carver's story, Feathers, examines the lives of these two couples, and on and on. And you should try and tailor that introduction to your own topic. So as you're introducing, say, Feathers or Cathedral, depending on if you're working on Cathedral, you might say it looks at two couples who have dinner together and have very different kinds of gender dynamics, or that in the story Feathers, the two couples that meet for dinner, um, while actually being of the same working class level, one of the couples is happy with that, the other is not, whatever. You then want to have a couple of sentences about a kind of broad overview of the story. Not exactly a summary, but a bit of a synopsis that locates us in time and space a little bit. Um, what is the beginning and the end of this story? When does it seem to be set? What year are we talking about? We know that these stories were both published in the 80s and seem to happen somewhere in the 70s or 80s. Um, and what's our locale? What's our location for this action? And you can also describe a little bit about, um, um, the interactions, the dynamics in the story between characters, and again, sort of what is the main plot arc of the story, and still talking about your kind of focus, whether it's gender or class or some combination. And then you want to move into a kind of second to last sentence or so that starts to really set up your thesis, that this is the driving force of this story. This is where you're really going to be concentrating your energy. And then you're going to conclude finally with your thesis. That needs to be the final sentence in your introduction. And this is a combination of all the things you've discovered while writing your mountain of notes. All your big ideas can get kind of packed into this one complicated thesis that sort of might move in two directions. While it seems to be this way, it's actually also this way. There's that kind of complicated, complex sentence structure that will help you. With your body paragraphs, your first body paragraph, you're going to be moving from your thesis right into your first big argumentative statement about this story and why you're starting with that particular body paragraph. You'll then have that opening argument, and then as a separate sentence altogether or a third sentence, you want to introduce your textual evidence, cite your quotation. Every body paragraph for this whole semester is going to have some textual evidence in it directly from the source material. In this case, it's going to be words and passages from the actual stories. Um, and then you're going to want to analyze that evidence and show how it proves the argument you started with up at the top. So it's a little different than your introduction, because your introduction starts a little broader. Here's the story, the topic, and kind of concludes with your argument. Your body paragraphs then begin with your arguments, your big ideas that you're going to prove now in this paragraph, and then it works through the evidence and the analysis of that evidence and comes to a conclusion. Again, do not put your transition at the bottom of a body paragraph. It's what comes next. Now you're going to introduce some new element about the story, or one of the characters, that draws something forward from the previous paragraph. And those are called transitions, or what I like to call them bridge statements. And I've got some handouts on those. I will post just a written assignment about conclusions. I'll say that in this first paper, the grade is really going to come from first and foremost your paragraph structure. I'm going to put a lot of emphasis on those opening arguments for each paragraph, and then the analysis and support of that follows. That'll probably, I'll give you a rubric, but I think that's going to be, I think the opening arguments are going to be 25%, and the textual analysis is going to be probably another 30%. Your introductions will be worth a certain percentage, maybe 15%, because you're new at this right now. Eventually, the introductions are going to be worth a lot more. But what I'm really grading you on here is your paragraph structure. And I'm also going to grade you probably just on 10 points at this point on your grammar and prose and usage, and then like 5 points on a conclusion. And I'll give you some specific instructions on a short conclusion for this first paper. But what we're really looking for is your body paragraphs and a strong thesis and a good introduction. Okay, I hope that helps. I'm going to post another video on Into the Wild, which I just watched today, which is still a really excellent movie. All right.